How do you eliminate camel toe from your leggings designs? If you're a consumer who's had this issue with leggings or shorts that you've bought, or you are someone who's looking to eliminate this issue from your own brand, you're aspiring to create a perfect camel toe free pair of leggings, well, you're in luck. Number one, we have to understand that the fabric that you pick has a huge impact on how and where the fabric is bunching up. Typically, what I recommend is nylon over polyester simply because of how supple and soft nylon can be. This just gives a more stretchy and a more even construction of the fabric over the crotch area. You have to understand what causes camel toe is essentially the fabric and the way that it sits on that region, typically taking up the biological or the ergonomic shape of the wearer. This is something we want to eliminate. We want to have the fabric itself iron out those areas and just to create a seamless and a flattering look overall. My typical recommendation is go for a medium weight fabric, nothing too thin, and also at the same time nothing too thick. A nylon-spandex blend with a higher composition of spandex, no less than 20%, is going to be ideal here. And then lastly, make sure to apply an interlock knitted fabric versus a single jersey or a double jersey. What an interlock knitted fabric is going to do is it's going to also help with the way the fabric sits on the wearer and take up a bit more of a structured look. Tip number two is to incorporate some sort of gusset into your design. What is a gusset? Well, if you look at the construction of a typical pair of leggings, you have what is known as the front rise that goes and flows into the back rise, and then on a latitudinal axis you have the inseam. Where those two seams, where the front rise to the back rise seam and the inseam from left leg to right leg, where those cross over typically causes a structure or a pressure point. When you have pressure, you end up with fabric punching or pinching into the skin, especially in that area. If you have fabric pinching into the skin, this can cause the fabric to take the shape of the wearer in a way that's not so flattering. So what we want to do is we want to eliminate the stress off of that area specifically and spread it out. Tip number three is to ensure that your front rise measurement is ideal. The front rise measurement is when the garment is laid flat on the floor, and we've done, by the way, another episode in the past that takes you through how to measure leggings. You can check the link up on here where you can know all about how to measure leggings. But the front rise measurement is essentially the measurement from the top of the waistband vertically all the way down, all the way to the edge of the fabric where the inseam starts. If the front rise measurement is too low, what ends up happening is a lot of wearers will end up hiking up their pants, causing issues where the fabric is being stretched on the crotch area, which exacerbates the issue of camel toe. And if the front rise measurement is too long, you end up with excess fabric in that area, which creates a saggy overall look, which is also not a nice idea. My recommendation is you have three different rise measurements. If you need a low rise waistband, my typical recommendation is between 7 and 8 inches for a low rise waistband. That's going to be around 2 to 3 inches underneath the belly button. If you have a mid rise waistband, then you're looking at between 9 and 9.5 for the front rise measurement. And then if you have a high rise waistband or a high rise fit, here you're looking at around 10 to 10.5 inches. So making sure you get those measurements right is key towards maintaining an overall flattering fit and feel to the garment. Number four is make sure to eliminate the front rise from your garment. Your front rise seam typically is where the right leg and the left leg join together, causing a rise or a seam that goes from the waistband all the way to the crotch area. Why is this something you want to avoid? Typically, when seams are constructed or panels are constructed and stitched together, you have an area of low tension, an area of low tension, and then you have an area of high tension where the seam is constructed, because you have 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 layers of fabric over each other, causing a thicker fabric that ends up pulling down and creating this mismatch of tension between the legs and the crotch area. That mismatch of tension allows the garment to dig into the surface of the skin, which then causes the issue of camel toe, as you can imagine. So what we want to do here is we want to eliminate that by incorporating a gusset from the first tip that we mentioned, and then allowing yourself to eliminate the front rise completely. Last but not least is consider using flat lock seams as opposed to traditional plain seams with top stitches. When it comes to the way that two seams overlap each other, in a regular seam you have is the piece of fabric are stitched on top of each other, then they're folded inside out with the seam allowance on the inside. With a flat lock seam, it's much more of a low profile seam where those two layers of fabric are simply just placed over each other with a small margin between them, probably a 1/16 of an inch where they overlap, and then you have a straight elastic seam, which is known as an overlock or a flat lock seam, stitched on top of that. This does a variety of different things. It's great for sportswear because flat lock seams typically have more stretch, they have more structure, they have more durability. Also, these types of seams tend to chafe less because there's much less excess fabric being used in order to construct the seam. Just enough fabric is used to create an overlap and then no more. Let me know what you guys think about these tips, if you've tried any of them, and let me know what your key tip is on how you can design leggings in order to eliminate camel toe. Let me know what your favorite brand is that creates camel toe free proof leggings. I'd love to take a look at them, to evaluate them. Maybe I can learn a thing or two as well. If you want my personal opinion, if you've been trying to eliminate camel toe from your samples, you've gone through rounds and rounds of samples and you're paying hundreds of dollars, but you can't get anywhere, you can check the link in the description. I offer one-on-one private consultation calls every single week. Slots are limited, so please make sure to check out the description as they do go fast. But if you can catch one at a time, I'd be more than happy to hop on a call with you guys. I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.